Hi friends, it's Mrs. Zara here. I'm visiting the Irving School Gardens. It's a beautiful breezy day, the last day in August, and it's a nice day to go for a walk. So please join me. Here at Irving, we have a garden dedicated to wildlife. It's a wildlife habitat. Here we are trying to attract native birds, squirrels, mice, sometimes the deer, bunnies, and lots of butterflies, bees, and other insects. So the plants here have been especially designed and picked out to attract these kinds of creatures into our garden. So let's go for a walk and see what we can see. So I hope you can hear me, but we have lots of bushes. This, my friends, if you can see, is called a serviceberry, and a serviceberry will get lots of bright red berries that will be nice for the birds later in the fall when food is harder to find. And here we have some nice grasses. The grasses are nice places for the bunnies to hide and for the insects to come and visit. It's a little hard for me to see. Over here we have some asters. Asters are a nice fall plant, and they will get pretty purple flowers that will give the butterflies some extra food, as many of them head down to Mexico before they start their long flight. Then we also have lots of butterfly weed. Butterfly weed here is an important plant for the monarch butterfly because it provides a place for them to lay their eggs. And when the flowers die, they leave behind these very interesting seed pods. And hopefully when we get back to school, we can explore more about seeds and pods. So as we go through the garden, we have some nice butterfly bushes here. And butterfly bushes are a fun plant for the swallowtail butterfly. They especially, oh, there's a little butterfly now. They especially like the sweet nectar from the butterfly bush. Over here, this plant is a bush. I hope you can see that. It's called red twig dogwood. And the reason it's called a red twig is because it gets a nice red twig in the wintertime. So it adds some winter color to our garden. Now these trees behind me here are actually a rose of Sharon. And they were not planted in the garden at all. But we had some Rose of Sharon plants in a different part of the Irving School grounds. And the seeds, these are the seeds. These seeds, when they drop, the squirrels might move them. And many of them were planted in this garden. Oh my goodness. There's lots of these Rose of Sharon. And they do get a very nice, pretty flower on them, some purple flowers. Some of them are white flowers. Also here we have lots of gigantic hosta plants, and the hosta plants are nice because of their big leaves. They sometimes hold water for the butterflies to come and get a drink. Also in our garden we have lots and lots of coneflowers. The coneflowers now are turning to seed. They're really not very pretty anymore, But I leave them there because the beautiful goldfinch is a bright yellow bird. And in the fall, the goldfinch will come and visit the garden and eat the seed from the dried up coneflowers. And they're so much fun to watch as they flit about. They're a beautiful, one of my favorite, a beautiful bird. And over here, behind me here, these are fennel plants. Fennel plants have a nice smell, and they're special because I let them grow wild because the swallowtail will come and the mother swallowtail will lay her eggs on the fennel. This is called a host plant because she knows that her baby caterpillar will love eating the fennel leaves. So that will keep them busy for probably a couple weeks until they're ready to make their chrysalis. So we'll learn more about butterflies and how they go from being an egg to a butterfly later on, hopefully when we get back to school. So there's more coneflowers here. We also have bird houses and bird feeders. And over here, boys and girls, this is what we call our pollinator garden. We have lots of flowers. Can you see the flowers all along here? Let's see. Those are the pollinator garden, and they're there to provide nectar for the bees and the insects that are called pollinators. Here behind me are more flowers for the pollinators. This, I was disappointed. These are beautiful. These are beautiful cosmos, but for some reason they didn't flower this year. I don't know why. But when we come back to school, we'll learn more about why pollinators, those bees and insects and butterflies, are important. They actually, as they pick up the pollen from the plant and drop it on another plant, they help to create new flowers. And do you know that if we didn't have bees, we would run out of food? Because as the bees pollinate the flowers, they make new flowers. And the flowers are from where we get our food. So this actually is a tomato plant growing in our garden. But we had a problem this year. The deer came and ate our tomatoes. And they also ate our pepper plants. I love the deer. They're beautiful, but I was a little sad. Now, if you look at this tomato plant, you will see there are some yellow flowers here. That's because this tomato plant has been pollinated probably by a bee, and those flowers will become little tomatoes. So that's why but if we didn't have the bees and the insects to pollinate these flowers, we wouldn't have the tomatoes. That's why they're very important. So you see here, we have lots of plants for the pollinators. It's hard to see. Here's one right here. It's very pretty. Can you see that? See those pretty flowers? And over here is a nice part of the garden. We have a beautiful sycamore tree with a purple picnic table. And sometimes we'll come out here, we'll have snack under the sycamore tree. Ooh, can you see my hair blowing? That's because it's a breezy day. But look, this is one of my favorite trees. It's a beautiful big sycamore tree. I hope you and your family will come visit the Irving School Garden. There's so much for you to see here. And if you do, be sure to look for the goldfinch. see if you can find the sycamore tree. And up in the sycamore tree, there are 3 birdhouses that Pre-K painted a few years ago. They're still there, and some of them have nests in them, excuse me, for the birds to have their families. So there's lots to see here. You might also see a robin. You might see squirrels. You might see one of my favorite birds, the bright red cardinals. I love the cardinals. And I'm hoping, you might see a bunny too. I'm hoping that at some time we can get a chipmunk to come to our garden. Not far from my house, and I live in Highland Park too, I know there are chipmunks because my husband, he was in the Reformed Church the other day inside their work area, and he said the door was left open and a chipmunk got inside, and they were all scrambling, running through the hallways, trying to get the chipmunk back outside. And that's not far from here. So I said, well, if the chipmunks are over there, maybe send them over here so the children and I can enjoy watching the chipmunks in our garden. But it's a beautiful place to come and take a walk, just like in the book, I Went Walking. And the garden is for the children and the families of Irving School and the neighborhood too. If you live in this neighborhood, many of the neighbors enjoy the garden, and they will sit and have their coffee at the picnic tables. And also, if you come, you have to be very quiet, and you have to learn to listen for the sounds of nature. The garden and being outside in nature is very calming. And in these hectic times that we have right now, it's nice to have a place to go where you can feel calm and the serenity and the peacefulness of a garden dedicated to nature. So please come by Irving School and visit the garden. And when we're back in person, we'll go through ourselves. And it's a beautiful place to visit through all the seasons. So I hope you do that. Okay, I will see you soon, friends. Bye now.